Yeah, that's right. That is right. It's the Tim Anderson Podcast. I'm Tim. That's my buddy Rhino over there dealing with the young lad this evening, giving him all kinds of challenges, but that's the role of the dad. Rhino, good to see you.
It is unbearably good to be here. A brief reprieve from the hellscape that is my current living situation. Everything in this house is falling apart, Tim.
Yeah.
Nothing is working. All the baby stuff we got 2 years ago that he's used since he was born is no longer working.
Yeah. The stuff has a shelf life.
The diaper pail is broken. The hatch, the noise machine that we use at night, failed tonight. I had to go and get another one. I'm looking at the monitor for the camera in his room, and the top of it is all fuzzy, and he has cracked the screen. Looks like my iPhone 7 from like 15 years ago, just destroyed, needs to be replaced. I got to tell you, we are limping to the finish line of toddlerdom here.
Yeah, I was going to say, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? It's the real question.
Well, the good news is we've got football.
Yeah, we got that going on. Hey, the Twins are off to a great start.
Oh, God, the Twins.
The Wolves look like they're in line for the NBA champion. The Wild are going to make the play. Oh, Jesus, this is tough.
It's just Loserville around here, man.
The Gophers made a great run in the tournament.
Did the Gophers even make the tournament?
No, they did not. They were a long ways away. The Gopher hockey team made a long run. No, they did not make a long run either.
I'll tell you that's just patented Bob Motzko hockey.
I mean, not good. It's just been rough around here. It's rough. It's tough to be here, man. The golf season's off to a great start. It's because the weather's shit. Anyway.
Snowed again yesterday.
Snowed again yesterday, you bet. And it might snow again tomorrow night. Rain and snow again in the forecast here. I mean, it's not going to amount to much, but it's enough to slow things down.
It's just enough to piss you off.
Just enough to make you upset. And you and I are in the waning days of our 2025 speech season. You and I have been at this thing for what seems like 6 months.
You know, I wish it were year round. I wish I could do this all the time.
I wish it was 9 months. I need 3 months away. I usually need 2 to 3 months to kind of just get it all back together, and then we're ready to go.
See, you just need the school year, right? We just want a full school year of speech.
Yep. Let me show up in September. We'll have this competitive season, but the rest of the time I just want to hang out and talk speech and get pieces and do fun stuff.
And practice.
There's no real off season for speech, so we could just run practices forever.
God, let's do that.
But our kids would hate it, and my assistant coaches whose contracts run out on the 27th of April are going to say, yeah, 28th of April, I am ghost like Swayze until the next contract rolls around. And can't blame them for that. Can't.
Yeah,
I totally understand it.
I'm not that kind of assistant coach. I want to be.
Yeah, I'm full blast in the whole way, baby. You know me. I love this stuff. But yeah, we are into the end of the season, you and I, which means we're going to have a lot of free time on our hands in the next week or two. But first, we got to survive the meat grinder that is sections and then state. And then off we go to the off season where I'm going to be full golf mode. Heads up on the podcast. Ty is going to drop by sometime next week, sometime maybe later this week or very early next week, maybe even next Monday on the pod, Masters Preview Pod, which, as most people know, Ryan, maybe our most listened to podcast of the last 2-3 years, besides maybe the Warriors Peak Cinema. More people love that Masters Preview Pod. So Ty's going to be around. Good to get him back on to talk golf as we get into the Masters season, which is really the official start of the golf season, I think.
I've heard that the Masters Pod is premier listening.
It's high end listening. I mean, Ty has got a wealth of opinions and just some juicy gossip. He played Pinehurst last week and has some thoughts. Watched, I guess, Mahomes and Kelsey come off of 18 on one of the holes. He was out hanging out at Pinehurst. So your guy Mahomesy out enjoying a very ritzy resort golf round with his guy Kelsey. No word if Swizzle was in sight, but there you go.
Probably not. It seems like a guy's outing.
Uh-oh. Wife's going to pick you up here off the bullpen. Oh, hey, it's a celebration from Lowell. And oh, if only my listeners could watch that. That was a celebration from the Nelson Kane family. That was great.
It is rare that we have a moment to celebrate in toddlerdom, but pooping on the potty is one of them.
That is certainly, you know what it looked like? It looked like you answered a question correctly in Family Feud, and she gave you the old, hey, atta boy, champ. Good answer. Good answer.
Show me poop, survey says.
Show me poop. And you're going to play fast money tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good one.
Number one answer on the board.
Oh, the joys of your life, Rhino. I love living vicariously through you, as you know.
I want speech to be year-round.
Oh, I will say this. I've really enjoyed the season. I've enjoyed the kids. I haven't enjoyed this. I mean, I will say, like, the only thing that's been affecting my season is me. I think just my own, challenges, right? The mental hurdles of just coaching and running a program and teaching and, kind of the bombardment of you're kind of surrounded, around and round by politics and by thoughts and by people and, all of that stuff, which we'll work on in the off season. I'm determined to get to the off season and then we'll kind of regroup and try to make it right for the future. But the kids themselves have been terrific all season long. Really like our group.
No, look, we have an incredible group of sophomores. I think it's been, 2 good years from them. Really, I think outpacing what we expected from them early on.
Yep.
In both effort and development, which I think is both rare and exceptional from them. And I also think that lends itself to us maybe having higher expectations than we should for a group of mostly sophomores.
You're probably right.
And I think that can lend itself to some disappointment when your expectations get higher than maybe higher than maybe is reasonable for a group of kids that haven't quite figured it out yet. They're really talented, but it's not about capability. It's about what you're willing to do.
And we're probably we're a little over our skis, right? We're just maybe some of us are a hair over our skis at this stage in their speech development, and maybe it's a little too much.
I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Expectation is the measure of growth for a lot of kids. For us, we're the ones that have to be realistic. They're allowed to dream. They're allowed to be optimistic. We're the ones that kind of have to be like, well, pump the brakes there, Scooter. Let's win a round first.
Are we kind of we might be like the old grandparents in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that all sleep 4 to a bed, which was really weird to me, but they're the ones that seem to knock down Charlie Bucket's dreams from time to time. Like, let him imagine the good life out there. Let's not fill his head with too many thoughts. Or was that the grandparents or was that the mom? The mom was the one. That might have been the mom.
That might have been the mom, but what?
I guess when you're laying 4 to a bed, you're not thinking about anything. That's.
You and I, our role on this team is really to be like, they'll walk up and say, I want to win the section this year. I'll say, yeah, and I'd like to buy a house. It's going to take a lot of work for both of us because neither of us are close.
Yep. Who knows now? Hey, they told you to give it a couple weeks here in Don T's economy with the tariffs, and you're going to have a chance here because everything's going to be real good here soon. That's what they tell us. We're not going to do the 100-day pod right now. We got to wait. We got to wait for the 100-day pod.
We do got to wait. Just a quick note. I don't see any signs of upturn on the horizon here.
We must wait till the 100-day pod.
You're right. That
is fair. Nobody can say we're being unfair if we wait till the 100-day pod to have an opinion.
That is correct.
You cannot say we're being unfair. Like that is more than adequate to say.
That's correct. Yeah, I think we can wait. We'll give it the full 100 days.
We're at about 70 some days. So in about a month, you and I can have a convo about where we're at.
Oh boy, another 30 days. I can't wait to see.
Can't wait, huh? Yeah.
Can't wait to see what opinions of mine he turns around in the next 30 days.
Just get off the socials and, let Madge and them tell you what's happening and take your word for it. And Jesse, let those guys tell you what's up. You'll be all right.
The kid can't get his MMR booster, but sure, everything. No, sorry, well, I'm
No,
getting into it.
everything's
We'll move on.
coming up. Listen, I told you we must wait for the 100-day pod. We've told you this.
Football. We got to talk football.
Yes, we're here tonight because we want to continue our draft series as we get set for the draft, which, by the way, Rhino, how many weeks away is the draft? Like, what are we waiting on here?
That's a good question. Let me look. I don't remember the date. I think it's the end of April. But one second.
It's close to the end of April. Yeah, I've always associated it with like the last 4 weeks of our trimester usually. So I'm thinking it's right around the corner, like right around
April,
state.
Oh, it is the weekend of state. It is April 24th through 26th.
Ooh.
So hopefully we will have a nice, robust showing at state to follow up our podcast that evening.
That will be lovely.
On the NFL draft.
And this year we may not do the first round because I've always had conferences the last few years and I've been kind of going back and forth on that. So we may not live stream the draft this year, but what we will do is I think, a nice, as you mentioned, robust breakdown of the draft, maybe Saturday night, where we can look at it in totality. Spend most of our time on the first round because when it comes to anything 3 and later, I defer that completely to you. I do not take any... I will not sit here and act like I have a deep opinion about anything round 3 through 7, but
you say that as I make my 6th round pick for the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm very sure that that's exactly what you're doing, for sure. But we can definitely talk about rounds 1 and maybe even rounds 2 and kind of get some breakdowns of the whole picture from a deep view. We might even menage pod that. We might try to get either Zach or get Allison in here or get Ty in here for that one as well. We might even quad pod it. Boy.
Hey, I'm all for it. If we wanted to do like that, this is a little on-air production meeting, but if you wanted to do like a Friday night pod there between the last practice before state and state itself and do a little Friday night action after day 2.
Ooh, that could be something. Yeah, we might be able to talk. Coach is busy. Zach is out coaching softball. We'll see if we can get him at all, but we'll talk to him because we haven't had him on the pod here in a while. It'd be nice to get him.
Well, it is a coaching season for him, and it's not football,
very
so
much
that does make it difficult.
That is true. That is very true. So, okay. We're going to talk tonight about, so in our draft series, we did 2020 draft a few weeks ago and kind of broke that down and kind of recapped it with a little bit of hit, miss, meh. And now we're going to do the same thing tonight with 2021. Just like 2020, Rhino, we had the advantage of the long view, the 30,000 foot view. We could really look back and say whether or not that was a successful pick in the draft. I think we had a chance to even acknowledge our own, like, hey, is it a bust if it doesn't work on the team, but it works somewhere else? I mean, I think that's a fair conversation because that doesn't mean he's a bust. It just didn't work there. So how do we might have to talk about that during the pod here tonight for 2021.
No, for sure. I agree. I think that, we're gonna do the same old thing, right? The boom buster meh.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a couple of those players in here, I think.
I think so.
This is kind of a weird draft.
The first 10 picks are very weird. Like, we're going to have some real momentum swings, and I think some legitimate conversation as we look back at the 2021 draft.
Yep. I'm with you.
Should we do it?
Let's dive in.
Here we go. Let's dive in. 2021. I remember it well. We were just coming out of all of the restrictions. In fact, 2021 spring was the first time we were back full-time school with the kids in the classroom. And it was great. I had those kids just for a short while, but boy, did I really enjoy having them in class. That was really, really great. Some would argue the beginning of the end of our civilization, potentially. But we'll settle that on the 100-day pod. We'll get back to that later. But let's look at the 2021 draft. This was the top of this draft was considered franchise quarterback heavy. And I remember you and I sitting down and talking about this on draft night, saying, if you're one of these teams, you got to get some of these guys. It's interesting to see how they've played out. The number 1 pick went to Jacksonville, and they took Trevor Lawrence.
Look, I think at the time, it's the right pick.
I still think it's the right pick.
You look at, really the next 10 picks after him, there's nobody I would have taken over him.
No, and you're not going to run it back with Blake Bortles.
Right. So I think that, taking Trevor Lawrence in that spot makes sense. With that said, this is a meh.
It is a meh. Yeah,
And
I think the bag's been mixed. I think it's been a mixed bag.
yeah.
Is
And
it
to be
all
honest,
his fault? Is it all his fault? I can't say that it's all his fault,
no.
but I think he's got to get some of it at this stage, right? He's got to get some of it.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's room for him to improve, but I really think that, he had a really good 2022 season.
Yep.
And
After the urban mess of 2021.
yep. And I really think that he got let down by a bad front office. I'll tell you though, this is a guy who I think if the Tennessee Titans didn't have the number 1 pick and you wanted a franchise quarterback you could start over with, and I had the number 1 pick and I wasn't in their division, right? So let's say like, who's if it were Cleveland or the Giants who had that pick, I'm calling and I'm offering that pick for him.
Do you think Trevor Lawrence has, like, there's a second act in Trevor Lawrence, and maybe he's like a Jared Goff type who needed maybe 5 years, maybe needed a fresh start, something like that, but like the talent is there. You can't give up on him. But I think to this point he is a meh, but I'm not giving up on him either.
I think that Kevin O'Connell's words are what stick out to me here, really with him and with the next pick after him, that organizations fail quarterbacks long before quarterbacks fail organizations.
Yeah.
He has clearly shown that he can play at this level. He's clearly shown that he has talent. He's clearly shown that he can operate. But look at what's around him. I mean, that is a dog shit organization that drafted him.
I'm not really excited for Liam Cohen this year for him either.
No, I'm not either. And
do you think that was sort of I understand firing Doug Peterson because it didn't work out this year or whatever, but doesn't it kind of smell like a lateral to maybe step back move? Like this is the move bad organizations make.
Yeah, it does. It feels a bit like, I don't know, starting a wrestling organization and staffing it with old star talent and not developing anything behind it.
That's interesting.
The product falls to shit after 5 years. Feels a bit like that. I don't know if that's a little too on the nose, but
maybe a little bit. I don't know, but you know what it does smell like a little? It smells like the Wolves when they fired Thibodeau. Like they brought in these veteran coaches just to quickly fire them and then hire less qualified guys. So they fired Thibodeau to give Ryan Saunders the job because they thought that was the feel-good story, only to realize, Ryan Saunders isn't that good a coach, actually, and he's worse than Tom Thibodeau. All right, we got to go get a real coach. Can't screw around. That's what this kind of smells like. It smells like 1 year in, they're going to be like, God, this Liam Cohen guy kind of sucks. Like, he's not a good football coach. Like, he's not ready to be a head coach in this league.
And look, I'll be happy to be proven wrong by Liam Cohen.
I'd love to be proven wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be.
I do think that there's an issue here where, I mean, my God, man, there's just nothing in that organization to have hope with, right? Your best running back is arguably your best weapon outside of the quarterback. Can't stay on the field.
That's true.
They don't really have any great wide receivers out there for him to throw to. You lost your best tight end a couple of years ago in free agency. Who's around him? Who do you have? You got nobody. He's your only piece,
I guess. Yeah, they like that one who's Brian Thomas this year. What was his name?
Yeah,
no,
but Brian, you're right. It's Brian Thomas Jr.
He looks like a superstar. He does look like a really good player.
He looks pretty good, but how good will he look in a new offense?
Yeah, we'll see.
Right,
good question.
And he did fall off at the end of the season. And as teams learned how to defend him, and they realized
the rookie fall off thing.
What I think it is it's teams looked around and realized there's no other threat on this field. And, who do we cover? We cover the guy that's the threat.
And another fairness, too, the Houston Texans safety knocked Trevor Lawrence's head into, just outside of Duval County out onto TPC Sawgrass. And it was Mac Jones throwing the rest of the season. So in fairness and conversation, I think is important right there.
That's fair, too. But in the current situation, the current stuff that we have for him, that's a meh.
It's a meh. Now, number 2 was to the New York Jets, and it was Mr. Everything, Mr. Unlimited. It was Mr. Unlimited, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, it's a bust.
It's a huge bust. He's already on his third team.
Yep.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing right now.
Again, ruined by a bad organization. I think
he had talent. Like even last year, he had guys to throw to.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, right? Is you can build around a guy and still fail a guy.
That's
right. It's about development. It's not just about the personnel. And I think that, look,
Is
I
there a
struggle
world
to
where
think
he's successful? Is there a world where he's good? If you
if
played
he,
his career back 10 times, maybe redid the draft 10 times, how many times would he be a bust?
if he goes to New York, I
I
think
feel
it's
like
8 or
8
9.
out of 10. Yeah, 8 or 9 out of 10.
And that's again, I mean, look at the top two teams in this draft. You got the Jags and the Jets, who are always looking for quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, he
The
just had
Jags and the
Rob
Jets.
Johnson. He had Rob Johnson written all over him. Just like pretty boy, he could, get with any mom he wants. But when it comes down to, rubber meeting the road on the field, it's the old line that Bruce Pritchard always says on his wrestling pod, the bell rings. Then the
Look,
bell rings, and then we got to see what you really can do. And the bell rang.
I have this phrase that I like to pull out with our speech kids periodically, that I am the last orator to go to state from Centennial High School. And I was there 15 years ago. BYU has one good quarterback to come out of that school. And that was 30 years ago.
Well, Jim McMahon was decent. Steve Young.
Steve Young's the one I'm talking about.
But Jim McMahon was okay.
Yeah, but that was before Steve Young.
And
he wasn't great. Yeah. He wasn't great. He was good.
He won a Super Bowl.
But he's not Steve Young, is what I'm saying.
No, that's fair. No, he's not Steve Young. That's fair. But who is?
So BYU, till you prove it, I'm a bit out on your quarterbacks. It's like Ohio State, right?
Yeah, it really is.
It's Ohio State quarterbacks. I'm not drafting one.
Well, more on that later. we got to get to that one in this draft as well. Third pick, North Dakota State. Trey Lance went to the San Francisco. They traded up to get him in this draft. Trey Lance was going to be the franchise guy, and he goes third.
This kind of reeked at the end of the Kaepernick experiment, right? That they really wanted a guy like that.
Yep. I think they thought that exactly, that they could plug him in, and here he is. Now you got this speedy guy, this mobile guy to work with Debo, to do all the things on offense that you wanted to do with Kittle and Ayuk and all these guys, and it just never materialized.
Yeah, and I really think that the sign was there. When you got a guy with a hairline like that, you can't draft him to play quarterback.
My issue was just the lack of football he played heading into the draft, because I know we talked about it, right, Rhino?
We did.
He didn't play. Yeah, we talked that night that he didn't play a lot in college, and he didn't play a lot, in high school even, really. Like, he hadn't played a lot of football, and he was going to go sit for a year. And so now we're sitting there going, well, the guy's going to play like 8 games in how many years? Like, he didn't play at all in the COVID year. He played like 3 games the next year. He didn't play much in 2019. It's like, when was he going to play? Like, how long can you sit and atrophy? And I just thought that it was a risk going in, and it just smelled like a bust. They got lucky that Purdy worked out for them, but this thing could have set the Niners back years, and they got away with it.
Well, and what's that phrase that you always have? You don't get better sitting on the bench.
You don't get better sitting on the bench. You don't get better taking a year off. You just don't.
At some point, you have to have the requisite amount of reps to be successful in the NFL, right? There is a workload that you have to carry before the game just kind of unlocks for you that he just never reached. He just never had it. And, all respect to him as a Minnesotan, Moorhead kid, not there.
He's going to go play in the NFL. Canadian Football League is what he just signed for, I think. Didn't I think he just signed in Canada?
Good for him. Athleticism will get you a lot of opportunities, but I hope you enjoy playing tight end.
His big issue, I really thought, was, too, when he started that year, remember, he got to start the first game in a monsoon in Soldier Field in 2022. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, they won that game. But it was like he never got the opportunity. He got hurt, I think, pretty quickly, too. And he just never was able to get meaningful game time reps, as we mentioned. And even in Dallas, it just never happened. When he got the trade, I thought, well, maybe he'll back up. But it was like he never saw the field. He was third string the whole time. They liked Cooper Rush way more. And it's like, that's a bad sign. If you can't beat Cooper Rush in a preseason for the backup job,
yeah,
I don't think it's there for you, man. I just don't see it. So
especially not with McCarthy as the coach, right? He wants a Dak clone back there. Yeah. And physically, Lance looks like Dak Prescott. He plays like Dak Prescott, but he's not as good as Dak Prescott.
So that's 2 misses and a meh in the top 3. That's tough. All right, number 4. It will get better, I promise. There's good players all over this first round, but it's not here. How about number 4? Kyle Pitts to the Atlanta Falcons. Man, oh man, this is I demand an apology from every fantasy football guru. This is the guy I demand an apology for life. Every year before the draft starts, I want them to stand up and say, by the way, before the draft starts, I just want to apologize again for Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry that we told you he was going to be the second coming. That he was going to be the greatest tight end you ever saw.
This is Tim's football equivalent of the land acknowledgement that happens in every uptight liberal space.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that we're on stolen land.
We just want to acknowledge that. We just want to acknowledge that we're lucky to be here.
Tim's equivalent of that mixed with the Pledge of Allegiance is we all have to stand and face Tim and say, I was wrong about Kyle Pitts. Taken 4th overall by the Atlanta Falcons out of Florida.
Tim,
I was wrong.
Bought it hook, line, and sinker. He had hits on all his fantasy teams just for him to be the most average guy I've ever seen. I'm like, he's pretty average. Where's Johnny Munt?
I will again point out that I'm
calling this a meh, by the way, for the record. I won't call this a bust, but it's not a hit.
I'm going to call this a bust.
I'll call it a meh, but I'll defer to you. It's your show on this.
I think that your expectations determine the level of failure. And this was not a lukewarm pick. This is a guy who was supposed to be a franchise-changing athlete.
They said he's Tony Gonzalez, and he's Shannon Sharp, and he's all the guys. He's all the things. That's what they said.
He's Travis Kelce.
He's a cyborg. He's unguardable. You'll never stop him in space.
And I will again point, even though he's a bust, and some of that's on him, I will again point to an inept, incompetent front office and organization that for his first 2 years didn't use him.
Is this this is pre-Art Smith, right? So
no, this is Arthur Smith.
Is this Art Smith? Yeah, okay.
This is Arthur Smith. And Arthur Smith had him. This was I think this was the first big pick of the Arthur Smith era. Complete disaster. Tried to turn him into
Quinn?
No.
All right.
Tried to turn him into a blocking running back or a blocking tight end, and tried to run the ball the way that he had for years. You don't do that with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is the guy that you put out in the slot. You put him as your tight end on 2 feet, right? He's Rob Gronkowski. He can block, right? But that's not what you want him doing, right? He's Travis Kelce. You want him catching the ball, right? I should have said he's not Rob Gronkowski is what I meant to say.
Yeah, he's not the hybrid. He would have been the Aaron Hernandez minus the murder.
Correct, right? He is the guy who catches the ball and runs it for 60 yards, breaking tackles and spinning off of guys, right? Making defensive backs look like fools. If you took Kyle Pitts and you put him on the Kansas City Chiefs, he is the best tight end in the NFL, but he's in Atlanta.
You got him as a bust.
Yeah. I think that this is another guy who, if they turn the page and he ends up somewhere else, could be a superstar, could end up being one of the best guys in the NFL in the right situation, but it ain't going to happen in Atlanta. Too many quarterback questions, too many issues with that offense. I don't like Atlanta. They look bad.
Arthur Smith, I don't trust anybody who has a mustache like that. Like, he's going to have to get rid of that. That's... Yeah, I don't want you calling plays with that mustache. I'm sorry.
Hey, just so we're all on the same page here, not only did the Twins get shellacked today, the Wilds too. Everybody give it up for Minnesota sports around here.
It's really good right now. Yeah,
we're killing it.
The Wolves, by the way, decided the only thing they could win at last night was a brawl in the second row at Target Center. That was nice of them to kind of get. At least we won.
Did they end up winning the game?
They won the game because the Pistons stink. I mean, they stink. They're terrible. All right. Next one. Now we're getting into some stuff here, Rhino. I think you're going to like these next ones. So let's be clear. Rhino, we're going to use Ryan as the official tracker. 1 meh, 3 misses to start. I got 2 mehs, 2 misses. Number 5, Jamar Chase, Cincinnati Bengals. This is a huge hit.
This has to be.
We don't have to spend a lot. Him and Jefferson are the 2 best receivers in the league, and it's not close.
Yeah.
It's those 2, and then literally everybody else.
And honestly, it's those 2 wide receiver rooms, right? Maybe Philadelphia.
Yeah, right? Philly's got a great room too. Yep.
I think that those 3 teams have the best group of wide receivers in the NFL.
I would completely agree. Completely agree. This group made a run, so we don't even need to talk much about that. I mean,
No.
Jamar Chase is a hit. That's first hit of the draft. Next one. This is an interesting one. Jalen Waddle to the Miami Dolphins at 6. At one time, you would have probably made, maybe 3 years ago, around 2022, under Coach Spicoli, you would have thought, boy, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, same wide receiver room. How do you stop it? I don't know. Just make it 25 degrees outside and injure the quarterback, and it seems pretty easy to stop.
Well, again, I hate to keep pointing at this. It's the stuff around him, right? Jalen Waddle would be an elite wide receiver on I would say 20 other teams.
Would he?
He would, absolutely. I think that Jalen Waddle is, if you put him in the Sean McVay type system with a quarterback who's healthy, right? A quarterback who's there year round, Jalen Waddle is absolutely a guy who could take over a game. He has game-breaking speed. He has very good hands. He's shifty. If this were 20 years ago, we'd be talking about him as maybe one of the best kick returners of all time, because that's probably where they'd use him. And he's just a better athlete than 90% of guys. With that said, here he's a meh.
He's a meh.
He again, all the talent in the world, all the expectation in the world. Think about where he's coming from, right? That 2021 Alabama team that he got drafted off of, and he's far from the last Alabama guy that we're going to talk about, even in the top 10.
Yeah.
He, on that team, was the wide receiver 2, but he was so talented that he got drafted higher than the guy who won the Heisman. Like, that's how good of an athlete we're talking about, the level of talent that's there. And boy, just feels like it's getting wasted down there in Miami.
Yeah, because you kind of feel like we're on year 5 here, and we're just sort of waiting for him to blow up and be one of these big-time guys, and it shows in flashes. Like, it's there in pieces. I would say it's a meh, maybe a modest hit. Like, it's not a very modest. You would say it's a hit. You can't call it a bust. It's not. He's a fairly decent wide receiver. He starts, but he doesn't, like, when Tyreek Hill, clearly dropped off this year and wasn't a factor, you were just waiting for Waddle to become that guy, and he just never took the reins. Just never did.
And unfortunately, with guys like that, if your speed starts to go, it's over for you.
Yeah.
You just don't have any other weapons. They're not good enough wide receivers to overcome any kind of loss of a step. And once teams can plan for speed, because that's how you handle speed, is you set up for it, you don't adjust to it. They become non-factors. So they need to be a part of something that isn't speed based, right? There has to be other parts of the offense there that isn't just about how fast the offense is. Because think about what they do down there, right? You had Raheem Mostert, who was very fast. Devin Achane, who is very fast.
Yes.
You had Hill and you had Waddle. They were probably the fastest team in the NFL, but as soon as you get them outdoors in the winter, everything goes to hell.
Yeah. It's not great. It's that I think McDaniels, has worn out the equity that he had earned early. So he's a guy that I'm watching on the hot seat this year. Like, he's got to do more than just be weird. He needs to actually win some games and out scheme somebody. Like, you got to beat somebody. I think this is a hit. I think at the time we wondered about this one, Rhino. I don't know if you did, but I kind of did, because I thought, the Lions were devoid of talent. We thought, the Lions just need bodies. But I think Dan Campbell might have known what he was doing. Penei Sewell to the Lions at 7.
Yeah,
I think this is a hit.
This is a hit, and we knew that it was going to be a hit. I knew that it was going to be a hit when they took him. You got to remember that the debate was, they had the 3 quarterbacks at the top, right? So that was kind of the tier 1 of the debate.
Yep.
You had a feeling that Atlanta was going to take either Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts, right? And Kyle Pitts was kind of, at that point, the consensus, because Jamar Chase had sat out the year.
Yep.
With COVID stuff, right? And
right.
he hadn't really played. And the debate in Cincinnati was, do you take Penei Sewell and give Joe Burrow that elite protector on his right side, or do you take his teammate Jamar Chase and give him an elite weapon to target, right? And obviously they went with Chase.
And Joe is paid. They got to a Super Bowl with it, but Joe's also paid for it by wearing some ass whoopings because his offensive line hasn't been very good.
Yeah, and look at what Detroit's turned in. Right now, They may have the best offensive line in football, anchored by Penei Sewell.
Yep.
He's the best outside of maybe Lane Johnson, who's getting up there in years and is going to retire in the next couple. Once he retires, Penei Sewell is the best right tackle in football, and I don't think it's close. It's those two guys and everybody else.
And I don't love taking linemen in the top 10. You know my theory. I want skill guys in the first 10 because I want dynamic guys who can wreck games. But Penei Sewell feels like the Orlando Pace exception, where you're like, yeah, but if he's a guy that we can anchor for 15 years and he's a sure thing and he is Orlando Pace, then you take him.
Yeah, he's extremely tough to beat. He's got an anchor that's incredible. I mean, he just bullies guys for an hour-long game, and they can't do anything with it.
Yep. That's a hit. So 2 hits, 3 misses, 2 mez so far from Ryno.
Some balance here.
Very interesting. Next one, I also like this one as a hit too, Ryno. J.C. Horn to the Carolina Panthers at pick 8. I think he's been pretty good, hasn't he?
He's been pretty good. This is a moderate hit for me.
So would you say hit or meh?
I'd say he's a hit, but it's a mild hit.
Yeah. This is like a double that kind of snuck through, maybe a glove, maybe got just into the gap in the right spot.
Yep. The how did he get on base hit?
The 99 hopper that he's just got speed and he's kind of legging it out. The right fielder loafs on it, takes his time.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is. He's pretty good. He's not as good as the next guy on the list.
And the problem is that he's on a bad team. The problem is he's on a horrendously bad team.
Yeah.
And he's been horrendously bad, but he's been the fiery, competitor guy. He was the one that stood out this year because he didn't like Sean Payton calling them bad and kind of running it up on them. And I really thought he was one of those catalyst guys this year that Dave Canales sort of rallied around to kind of hey, we're going to stop losing around here. And we're going to start being more competitive. Let's figure this out.
Yeah. And if you knew his dad, I mean, of course he was going to be a competitor. Joe Horn was one of those guys. You know, that's
I do
just
agree.
who Joe Horn was.
It's a hit, but it's not. You're right. It's not a grand slam, but it's good. It's a good one.
It's just solid.
It's a nice
solid.
Pick.
He's
a
nice good. Pick. He had a really good year in 2023. He had an okay year last year, but you give him the equity on that because of how good that year was, right?
They were bad early.
Yeah.
Really bad early. And they kind of figured it out late, but it took time. They were a far more competitive watch the last half of the season than they were the first half. I think people forget about how bad the first half was. I mean, they got blown up by the Saints by 40 points on opening week and, came back and were pretty darn feisty down by the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what they look like next year, right? We've seen that happen 100%. With teams that, the Bears were that way last year.
Yeah. We'll see if the head coach I think the head coach is a decent coach. We'll see if he's that good. We'll find out. Next one, I agree with you. I think this is a hit. Pat Surtain, the second, at pick 9 to the Denver Broncos. This is a hit, yeah?
I think he's the best corner in this draft. Hard not to call that a hit. The kind of the bellwether of their outside just locks everything down on his side. He's real good. He was real good in college. The third Alabama player taken. The second Alabama player taken in the top 10 of 3 from that 2021 team. I hoped that the Vikings would get this guy.
The Vikes were there. Remember, the Vikes were trading back. We were talking about how the Vikes were moving backward in this draft.
Yeah. So they had, God, where were their original pick? Were they?
Well, you were all over them to take Fields at 11, and so they swapped, or you wanted them to come up and take Fields or whatever.
They had 14. This was the year they had 14. I wanted them to trade into the top 10 to get Fields.
Yes. Because of your Ohio State blinders.
Yeah, well, Fields was the best quarterback to come out of Ohio State in a while.
That's fair.
And, Pat Surtain was that other guy that it was like, you go get Surtain. He's real good.
Yeah, real good.
And
you're like a Southerner drinking moonshine. That's real good. That's real right in there.
Look,
that's real good.
sometimes it takes a southern accent to get the point across, right? There are guys who are really good, and there's some guys who are real good.
Real good.
And that Pastor Tan, he can play some football. You know what I'm saying? That boy can play.
That's put a little dip in, a little tobacco on the sidelines, and that's that guy.
You're watching you're sitting there on the sideline in your lawn chair going, that some bitch can run. Look
He
at
real
him
good at that one.
He physical up at the point of the catch. That boy is. I'd like him to come play football at the University of Alabama.
Like Boss Hogg just showed up there for that one. Anyway.
Buford T. Justice.
Buford T. Justice. Number 10 is Devonta Smith. Do you like Devonta Smith?
This
is a big hit. Yeah, he's been good. He's been really good. Yeah, really good.
On the red
really good. So the top 10
But we knew he would be. The debate about Devonta Smith being good or not good into this draft is ridiculous because he was elite in college. He was unguardable in college. There was nobody who could touch him in college.
Yeah.
He won the Heisman as a wide receiver. Like, that guy should have been where Kyle Pitts was taken, right? That Kyle Pitts was good, right? Athletic freak. That buys you a lot in the NFL. That buys you a top 10 pick. But the disrespect to Devonta Smith to let him fall to 10
to the Eagles, pisses you off.
Unbelievable. And you're right. The fact that he went to Philadelphia makes it worse. Just real quick, just so we're clear, Philadelphia acquired that pick from the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
a division rival gave them that pick.
Yep,
and they took maybe their best wide receiver.
Was this AJ Brown the night they drafted him or traded for him, or was that next year?
I believe this was the year that they traded for him.
Because this was like the Mike Vrabel's like, what the fuck are we doing draft? Was that what this one was, or was that the next one? No, because that would have been the one where they took that other. No, because it would have been the next one because they took the receiver, the young receiver, and who do they have on the team? Who's the young receiver that they took that night as like the replacement?
I'm looking this up.
Yeah. I feel like it might have been the next year.
It was the next year. He was traded before the 2022 season.
Okay. So that was the this was the salad days of the Mike Vrabel run in Tennessee, where he still thought they had a chance and they were interested in winning. And then
the Titans took Treylon Burks. That's right.
Treylon Burks. We're still waiting on that one. Next pick, number 11. So out of the top 10, 5 hits, 3 misses, 2 mez.
Mm-hmm.
Number 11 is Justin Fields to the Chicago Bears.
This is a miss, but it's a soft miss.
So it's like a ground ball. Maybe you hit an atom ball, like a laser to the third baseman. He caught it.
This is one that we'll call it an organizational miss. That similar to Trevor Lawrence, right? I think Trevor Lawrence, and nobody would argue with this, is more talented than Justin Fields.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence can get by on that extra talent. Justin Fields doesn't have that extra talent. He's really good, very talented quarterback, but he went to arguably the worst situation in this draft.
And we saw that he just signed with the New York Giants or Jets. Yep. He went to the New York Jets, $20 million deal. I feel like, unfortunately, he went to another really bad place. Unfortunately, I just think this isn't going to end well for Justin Fields.
Now, the saving grace for him may be that his best college receiver is over there. And I think that if they can get back on the same page, then, I think that he can absolutely use that talent and they can figure it out with the right stuff. But the bottom line is that you're in a division with one of the best teams in football. Mm-hmm. You're in a division with a Miami team that, as rough shot as they've been the last couple of years, they're still very talented. And you're in a division with a New England Patriots team that appears to be recapturing their identity, which is terrifying to everybody that is not a New England Patriots fan.
Yeah, your guy Steph Diggs over there now signing with my Patriots. I don't know what to make of that, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you this. I love me some Mike Vrabel.
I do like Mike Vrabel, though.
That guy's real good.
Real good. It's like eating a good chili. That's what it's like, right there. You just man, it's real good.
Mike Vrabel, just a lunch pail coach. 9 to 5er. I can't say enough about how much I love Mike Vrabel. And for that organization, getting back to that kind of coach, you know what I mean? Defensive, about the process, about the program, nothing but us, do your job kind of guy. That kind of coach always seems to do well in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right?
It always comes back around, doesn't it?
It does. Even if they have bad seasons, they look at it and they say, guys, it's 1 year out of your career. We have to get better. There are places we're going to improve, but this is short term.
Yep.
We are not going to overreact to a short term loss here. I think putting that team in a division against the New York Jets, who are the exact opposite of that.
Yep.
And putting Justin Fields in the opposite of that, I kind of wish that Justin Fields would have gone somewhere like that. Right? I kind of wish that Justin Fields would have stuck in Pittsburgh and stuck it out and gone back and worked there. But I don't think that Tomlin liked him very much.
And they're still waiting on they're still waiting in Pittsburgh because Russell's gone to the Giants. So they're still hoping it's Rodgers, right? I mean, they're still hanging on to hope.
Apparently he was throwing balls to DK Metcalf last week.
Just sign already, God damn it. Either play or don't play. The act is old. All right. Next pick, the 12th. This is a hit. Micah Parsons to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys we like to rip. They got this one right.
This is a soft hit.
Soft hit. You don't think this is a big hit?
Again, expectations, right? This guy was going to be one of the best defensive players coming out of college in years. And look, physically on the field, he's been great. In the locker room, this guy's a nightmare. The amount of stories that come out about what a pain in the ass this guy is, how hard he is to work with.
He does sound like he's a real pain in the ass.
How the Cowboys have had to deny reports that he has asked for trades and that guys don't like him very much and that he doesn't work very hard because he's super talented. Like, the amount of stuff that's come out of their locker room about Micah Parsons just kind of being a shit teammate, it's a little shocking.
Would you take him on the Vikings?
Look, that's a different question.
Yeah. Next question. This is high-level professional stuff here.
Again, on the field, he's great.
Yeah.
No, I think personality-wise, he would clash with a lot of guys, and I think Minnesota's fine as edge rushers go.
Well, they'll be okay. He'll be fine to push around Brian Schottenheimer for a year. I mean,
yeah, and
we'll see how it goes.
Because what you really want in a locker room full of difficult personalities is a pushover coach who nobody really believes in.
Who's never had a job before, doesn't command the locker room, doesn't have the respect of the players.
Yeah, that's really what you want when you're searching for.
Yep, should go well.
Nepotism hire, father coached forever in the NFL.
I'm not even going to say he can't coach. I just think nobody was banging down his door, and maybe that's okay, but it's not the most, and I could be, I hope I'm 100% wrong because I loved Marty Schottenheimer. I hope I'm wrong and Brian Schottenheimer's a good coach. I'll really do.
Zach has a phrase that has proven true in a lot of ways. Don't hire the guy that's the longtime assistant.
Yeah, he does. He wants guys that are go-getters, right? He always believes if you're trying to be a head coach and you're pushing your way up, that's the guy you want.
Yep. And look, maybe that's why Liam Cohen will be successful, right? There's a little bit of this to that. Brian Schottenheimer, kind of the polar opposite. Been around forever, hasn't really done anything. You know what he reminds me of? Remember when the Cardinals hired Ken Wisenhunt?
Yeah.
Feels a bit like that.
But he was good. He got him to a Super Bowl, but was it him that got him to the Super Bowl? I think that's the conversation.
No, it was Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Yeah, Ken Wisenhunt.
That defense was no great shakes.
Or Mike McCoy. There's a lot of names you could throw out where you're like, that
Norv Turner.
I could have fucking told you that guy wasn't going to be any good. I could just call me. I would have told you, there's no way Mike McCoy's going to be a good coach.
There's no way.
There's no way Chan Gailey's going to be a good coach. I mean, there's no fucking way Chan Gailey's a good coach. There's no way Dave Campo's a good coach. Yeah, Mike Zimmer. Zimmer though had success. I can't say he didn't have success. He had
but it's not right. But he had a couple of years, but it wasn't like that.
No, it certainly didn't end well.
His best year, he got blown out by the Eagles.
I mean, but the list goes on and on. You can find a million guys.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Gannon, the guys have played hard for Jonathan Gannon in Arizona. They have, but they still stink. They're not sniffing playoffs. So I don't know. I think he's probably going to get fired after this year. Next guy. Hey, let's rapid fire a few because these guys aren't the most intriguing guys.
Got it.
Rashawn Slater for the Chargers at 13.
Hit.
This is a hit. Yeah, good player. And under Harbaugh, we think he's even better. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, we agree. Elijah Vera Tucker to the Jets at 14.
That's a hit.
It's a hit. So now we're starting to get these good linemen here, Ryno. These are nice.
This is where linemen should get taken.
This is exactly where they should get taken. All right, we're going to take a big pause at 15 just for a second because I have to. Mac Jones. Big bust.
Miss. That's a miss.
Do you feel like it goes back to the old theory of you don't want to replace the legend. You want to replace the guy that replaced the legend, right? Like, so it's not, Mac had to go and replace Tom and the expectations were absurd and they anointed him as this guy. And I think it just clearly and again, the bell rang. Early on they had some success because Bill and McDaniels, they kind of coddled him and took care of him, and then McDaniels leaves for Vegas. And it was like Bill didn't know what to do. He didn't trust anybody. He didn't trust the open market. And it's Matt Patricia and Joe Judge and the cabal calling plays, and that didn't fucking work. Was this like the grandmaster chess player's biggest blunder? And for Belichick, is Mac Jones like his biggest mistake, the way he handled him?
Yes and no. I think Mac Jones, first of all, the program comes first. The Patriot way was always going to come first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that as a coach, I believe that Belichick could coach anybody.
Yeah.
Right? I think where he failed him was Belichick, the GM. And I think this is ultimately where Belichick himself failed in New England, is you can only, when you have Tom Brady, that's going to mask a lot of the problems that you have drafting and signing free agents. And
everybody talked about that was Brady was covering a lot of stuff.
And it really came to a head here with Mac Jones, that when Brady left and Jones stepped in, there was just nothing around him. There was just nothing there anymore.
Yep.
Gronk had gone. The best receivers in New England had been gone for years. Edelman wasn't there anymore.
Yep.
Nope. There was just nobody for him to rely on. The offensive line was complete garbage. Mac Jones to me feels a bit like Zach Wilson, right? Where stepped into a bad organization on a downswing and rode the downswing, and his career got ruined as a result.
And went to Jacksonville last year, wasn't much better.
Nope.
It wasn't good.
Guys like that are often permanently broken.
Let's go back to the rapid fire for a few. How about Zaven Collins to the Arizona Cardinals?
Hit.
You like this one?
Yep.
I must say I don't know a ton about him, but I'll take your word for it. This one I know is a bust. Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah, that's a bust.
He didn't make it out of training camp, right? Or he didn't make it out of anywhere. He was terrible pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's just bad.
Bad player. That's a bust. Jalen Phillips to the Miami Dolphins at 18.
Bust. Injuries. Injuries derailed him.
Let's get our count. 9 hits, 7 misses, 2 mez.
Okay.
That's where we're up to right now.
That's about right.
That sounds about right. Yeah, we're doing good. This is kind of your first round. This is proof the science, right?
Yep.
Jamin Davis to the Cobra Commanders at 19.
It's a miss.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of him.
He's not even on the team. He was with the Vikings last year.
Was he really?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
I think he saw the field. You think he saw the field 2 plays?
I couldn't pick him out of a lineup standing next to you and Zach.
See, he was the poor man's Zaven Collins.
Can I throw you another miss? Pick number 19 or 20. Pick 20. Kadarius Toney to the New York Giants.
Oh yeah, bro, that was
not good.
That's tough. This is again, if he would have gone to Kansas City, or if he would have ended up somewhere that wasn't
Kansas City. What are you talking about? He dropped everything.
No. I mean, he did that when after New York had ruined him.
That's true.
He was extremely raw coming out of college. He was a developmental product with elite physical talent. God, I wish that he would have gone somewhere good. If he would have ended up in like Green Bay, I would, as much as I would have hated that, he would have been fine.
But he's kind of toast now, right?
Yeah, needed a better culture.
So 20 picks in, 9, 9, and 2. 9 hits, 9 misses, 2 mez through 20 picks.
Look, I feel good about those numbers, man. That feels right to me.
Now you went from Southern to John Gruden. I'll tell you, man. Real good right there, man. Yeah, I'll tell you right there, guy.
Yeah, pick 21, Kwity Paye for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, here's a guy.
Here's a guy that Kwity Paye.
He could play some football, right? He gets down to that 3-point stance, and you know he's coming. Man, Kwity Paye's hard to stop. He's a hit.
Do you like Kwity Paye?
I do. I like Kwity Paye a lot.
I feel like he's a hit and miss guy to me. I feel like he's probably a hit, but boy, do I feel like he screws up a lot too.
He's not great. He's not great against the run, right? Yep. I'll give him that. But we've had a lot of edge guys throughout the NFL history that have made their bones sacking the quarterback and were not great against the run. One of them just got into the Hall of Fame. His name's Jared Allen.
Fair enough. I'm not ready to call him quite that, but point is well taken. 22, the Tennessee Titans took Caleb Farley.
This is a meh.
It's a meh. Yeah, I don't think it's anything, right? Because he's still on the roster, right?
Yep.
He still plays, but he's not a factor, really.
He is what on our speech team we would call a consistent contributor.
Yeah, we like having him. He's a guy we like having in the building. Nice guy, glue guy,
but he
does everything I ask him to do.
He's the 4th, 5th at sections, right?
Just, nice enough chap. Want him on my team. Special dude. Probably is the jokester. Probably makes everybody laugh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Good dude.
A guy you want to sit with at lunch. Right? But probably not the best cornerback. All right, next one. This one I bet you will like. I'll bet you'll like. Christian Darrisaw to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, it's a hit.
He's quite good. He's been good for them. Been very good. And we sat there that night. I remember this because you were so mad that they didn't take Justin Fields that we went all the way back. I think you liked them taking Darrisaw, but I think you hated the trading back, right? If I remember right?
Yeah, there were a lot of guys that I really liked in this draft. Darrisaw, I didn't know a lot about at the time. I knew he was pretty good, but I knew he was also projected to go up in like the 13-14 range, right? The debate among Vikings fans was, do you take Elijah Vera Tucker or do you take Christian Darrisaw? So I because we wanted Rashawn Slater. That was the one we wanted because we knew it was an offensive line draft for us. Either that or quarterback. There was one of the two that you kind of had to take there. So I was in team Vera Tucker. I wanted Elijah Vera Tucker. I was pretty upset that they
first you were apoplectic about Justin Fields.
Yeah, and it was made worse by the fact that he went to the Bears.
Yeah, you were so mad. You threw stuff.
Well, look, here's the thing.
I got to go back to the archive and listen to that one. It's all coming back to me now.
As an Ohio State fan, I think I called it when I said that the Bears were going to ruin him.
You did say that.
That I didn't. If he were going to go anywhere, don't go to the Bears because the Bears will ruin him.
You did say that.
It's an Ohio State quarterback going to the Chicago Bears. Of course he is set up for failure, right? Ohio State's never produced a great quarterback outside of CJ Stroud, and he's not even great yet. He's just pretty good. They've never done it. And he goes to the Bears, who have never put out a good quarterback. Like they had Jim McMahon had one decent year, but it really wasn't his offense. It was Walter Payton's, and the defense was the star of that show, right? Like it wasn't Jim McMahon. The Bears have never done anything with quarterbacks. The best quarterback they've had was Sid Luckman back in 19. Who gives a fuck? I
will not have you disrespect John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh or Mike Tomczak in my presence. I will just not have it. I will not have it.
They have never had a 3,000-yard passer.
It wasn't what Ditka wanted Harbaugh to do back in those days, in fairness.
That's fine.
Because Captain Comeback went to Indianapolis, and they were within an eyelash of going to the Super Bowl.
Here's my thing, though. I'm not worried about that. I'm saying that I knew the Bears were going to ruin my guy.
Yes.
And I looked at an opportunity for the Vikings to go up and get him, and they didn't.
You're still mad about Cade McNown back in the late 90s. You were like 7, so I don't think that matters or less than that.
I'm mad a lot of things when it comes to the Vikings.
Cade McNown is not one of them.
Some people will say that I'm splitting hairs here and that he was a bust and I shouldn't be upset, but I was right at the time.
Next pick, 24 to the Steelers, Najee Harris. This feels like a meh to me.
This is a meh. This is about as meh as it gets.
Yeah, very just like he's fine. It's nothing wrong, nothing bad. He's fine. It's just not special. Nothing special there. Speaking of that, Travis Etienne. Again, another guy that I want the fantasy guys to apologize to me for before every season, because every year they're like, Travis Etienne, he can be really, really good, this guy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm waiting. Still waiting.
Again, he can't stay on the field.
You're right. Is he a bust? So is he a bust?
All the time. He's a bust to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah. So now the new count, 11 to 10 to 4. 11, 10, 4 through 25 picks. Next up, Greg Newsome II to the Browns.
This was another guy that I thought the Vikings might take in this draft. Historically, he's been pretty good. Had a really bad year last year. A really bad year. I think that he's a meh.
He's a meh.
He's a talented kid that is in what is honestly a horrible situation.
Worst situation in football.
Yeah, maybe them and the Jets.
Nice of Jimmy Haslam to acknowledge that Watson was a big swing and a miss today. Nice of him to acknowledge that, by the way.
That guy's a clown.
God, yeah, you're right, though. Let's trust the billionaires to make more decisions because they're way smarter about it than everybody else. Yep, go ahead. Continue to give the billionaires all the say because Lord knows they don't make any bad decisions ever. Okay, and end of that. Again, the 100-day pot is a month, is a good solid month.
Mark your calendars, folks. I'm going to be throwing stuff.
Next one, pick 27. Baltimore Ravens took, and this one's a bummer to me because this guy should be so much better, Rashad Bateman. I like Rashad Bateman.
You want to talk about a swing and a miss? Here it is.
Yeah. This is another guy, though, that didn't play for the last 2 years of college at the University of Minnesota. He didn't play the COVID year at all. He played 4 games his last year. He didn't play. He just didn't play.
Yeah. And look, he was.
We call this a bust, though? Are we calling this a bust or a meh?
Yeah. No, he's a bust.
He's a bust.
He was so good in 2019.
Yeah.
He looked like a first round pick in 2019. And then this. He can't make it work. You got an MVP quarterback, you can't make it work. I don't know what to tell you.
Now we're going New York. So we've gone Southern to John Gruden to, what can I tell you? He's on, he's bringing the gabagool, Anyway, I could go for some gabagool.
Man. Just give me some cured meats, maybe on a hoagie bun with
we could
lettuce.
We should have a charcuterie board in the podcast. We should be working on that. You're
missing me here. I'm not looking at charcuterie. I want a cold cut sandwich.
Yeah.
There's a place. Let's take a pause here just real quick. Not a sponsor, but there's a place.
No free ads, but we'll take a sponsorship from them if they want to give it to us.
There's a place in St. Anthony on Silver Lake Road called Capone's.
I've heard of this place. I've never been.
Buddy, they make amazing sandwiches. They have a prosciutto and fig sandwich.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on the fig.
Hear me out. It's got some mozzarella and some balsamic vinegar on it.
Okay.
With arugula, and the fig is just a nice little pop of sweetness, some texture with the seeds. Oh, they're not on DoorDash anymore, so I can't get them every day.
Speaking of sandwiches, can we talk about that sandwich we had at the Nat Qualls from our guys at Urban Wolf Deli?
Oh my God, Tim!
Jesus Christ, is that sandwich good?
Begging for a good deli around here, and that place. Look, folks, if you're a longtime listener of this podcast, you know that my dad and I don't always have a great relationship. I called my dad after I took one bite of this sandwich.
I watched you eat. You took a bite, you threw it down, not in disgust, but in elation.
I spiked the ball.
You spiked it. Yeah, exactly. You were Rob Gronkowski.
Did I or did I not immediately pick up the phone and call my dad?
You did. First move.
Because sometimes when someone you love needs to experience something, even if you're not on the best of terms with them,
you looked out for them. That's love. That's real love.
I had to tell my dad that he needed to try this sandwich.
This would be one of those where even if the president came to me and said, I need a sandwich recommendation. I'm in Minnesota. Can you give me some? I would say, you know what, Mr. President? I am going to recommend you this place. Why? Because I believe that everybody should eat a good sandwich, even if they're despicable. But I still believe everybody should eat a good sandwich.
I'll tell you this. There are 4 places in this state that I would drop everything and go get a sandwich.
Yeah.
Urban Wolf is one of them.
They're only open 5 goddamn hours a day, 5 days a week. You got to get in. You got to know what you're doing to get in there.
The good ones always are. And look, it's them and Capone's are in there, right?
I cannot wait till summer. I am smashing that fucker once a week, maybe twice.
My God.
Because I can go at 11 a.m., God damn it.
Can you imagine having a 1 p.m. round and going there and just getting 3 sandwiches in the cooler?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And just having sandwiches on hand during a round of golf.
I don't need 3, but I would definitely take 1 and I would eat all of it.
The other 2, just so we're clear, are Misant Banh Mi in Brooklyn Park here. They also have one in Roseville.
Okay.
And a place called, I don't think it exists anymore. It was called Meat Market in White Bear Lake. Made the best Louisiana po' boy I've had in my entire life.
Where are you on Nelson's Deli and Cheese?
I've never had
Cheese and Deli. That's another one of those places that's open like 6 minutes a day. But like it's the lines out the door all the goddamn time. There's one in Fridley.
I've never had it, but I'm always going to try a deli.
Put it on the list. I think you want to put that one on the list too.
Done.
Again, any place that's open 6 minutes a day, that's a good deli. If they're open longer than like literally legitimately, if they're open longer than 7 hours, they're probably not very good because they require that much time to have the business they need. If they're shutting her down in 5 hours, you know they're doing business.
And it's just freshness, right? You know you're getting fresh stuff.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they're it's not sitting out all day. Sorry, I'm getting emotional again.
Are you okay? Do you want to talk about this?
I love sandwiches, Tim.
Let's rapid fire the rest of these. Peyton Turner to the Saints at 28.
That's a meh. I think it's actually a bust. I think it's a bust.
We're going to go bust. Okay, we're going to go bust. Eric Stokes to the Green Bay Packers.
That's a meh.
Meh. All right, we're working our way down the list. Gregory Rousseau to the Buffalo Bills.
I think he's a hit. He's played a lot.
I feel like he has played a lot. And that defense is okay.
Yeah.
Odafe Owe for Baltimore.
This is a meh. He's on the roster still.
Yes.
But I don't believe he plays very much.
And Joe Tryon to wrap it out from the Tampa Bay Bucks.
God, didn't they just trade him?
They might have just traded him. That's probably not a good sign.
I think where's me look? He plays for the Browns now. Plays for the Browns. Yeah, this is a meh.
Meh. So to recap our draft, and Ryan, I'm gonna have a little exercise for you to close out the pod tonight, but just think about this for a minute. Sure. We have 12 hits, 12 misses, 8 mez in 32 picks for the 2021 NFL draft.
Wasn't our last one really close to 50-50 too?
It was pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close. Just to show you that this is not an exact science. All right. Now, let me ask you this, and I'm not going to make you go through the whole thing, but if you had to redraft the top 3 and position and team was no matter, but just the top 3, how should it have gone? Chase number 1?
Yeah, probably. Well, are we going based on prospect or based on what we know now?
Just based on what we know now. Based on what we know now, if we could run it back, if we could say, all right, we got to go in the time machine. We have Gray Sports Almanac. We're going to hop in the DeLorean. We're going back to 2021. We're going to infiltrate these teams' offices. You know, we're going to stuff some guys in closets, things like that, and take over the draft room. Who are we taking? And how does it go?
I think if I'm Jacksonville, I think I'd still take Trevor Lawrence.
You'd still take Trevor Lawrence? Even though he's a meh.
I think the problems are outside of him, but I think that his meh is an organizational meh.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all on him. I think number 2 has to be Jamar Chase. I think he's just such a hit. And the 3rd has to be Penei Sewell.
So you would still go Lawrence 1, despite the meh grade. You'd take Chase at 2, Sewell at 3. And if we branched out, probably Devontae Smith and Micah Parsons?
Devontae Smith and I would say Patrick Surtain.
And Patrick Surtain. Yep, that's probably about right? That would be your 4 and 5. That makes sense.
Darisaw might be in that top 5.
Would climb probably highest, right? Darisaw would climb out of 20. What was
he's
he,
probably 6 or 7.
Yeah, he'd go from 23 to probably the top 10 for sure, right?
Yeah, because as good as Vera Tucker is, I don't think guards get valued that highly. And he's a franchise left tackle, and he might be one of the 2 or 3 best in the NFL at that position. So I mean, you look at who's at the top of their game. Jamar Chase is, top 1-2 in the NFL, depending on who you ask. Pat Surtain is definitely the best corner in this class. Penei Sewell is far and away the best offensive lineman in this class. And Darrisaw's probably behind him by a margin, but he's there.
I'll give you 3 or 4 names that I think could move up out of round 2 into round 1. If you had the benefit of hindsight, Asante Samuel, maybe.
Who might be signing with the Vikings.
Might be. Pat Freiermuth, who I think has been pretty darn good for Pittsburgh.
He's
right?
real good.
And they got him at 23 in the second round. So that's pick 50-something. He would have been like a late first rounder to me. I would have taken him there over Najee Harris, right?
Yeah.
I would have taken Freiermuth right there probably. And then, that's probably about it. Azeez Ojulari, maybe, or maybe Christian Barmore or Javonte Williams. Yeah, other than that, it's not great in round 2. So there you go. We got 2022 coming up. We're going to do that one probably sometime next week, you and I. We got a pretty busy week next week, but we're going to try to get that one in the can. We're going to go back and revisit 22 that has Aiden Hutchinson in that draft. We get to talk about him.
Here's another. So I don't mean to cut you off. Here's another name that should have been in the first round here. Landon Dickerson, the center from Alabama, who ended up at Philadelphia.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that one. I felt like, you're probably right. He would probably go up again if you had another chance.
God,
for sure.
How did they let Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson fall to the fucking Eagles?
It's a disgrace, is what it is. It's a real disgrace. You and I have a lot to talk about. This 2022 draft that we're going to talk about, it's kind of fascinating. Like, I'm fascinated to talk about this one because there are some dudes that I think are legit talents, and then there are some dudes that I'm like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? And there were trades around that night. That A.J. Brown trade gets revisited, all kinds of good stuff next time around. So we'll do that one on the next draft recap pod as we make our way closer to the NFL draft just a few weeks away. That'll do it for the pod tonight. Ryno, good to talk to you.
Good to be here, Tim.
Yeah, I'm glad we enjoyed this. Now you get to go back to being a parent. Enjoy that.
Well, he's asleep now, so I'll go back to doing what I was doing, which is getting ready for work.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I was worried you were going to say something else. Anyway, there you go. Thank you for that, everybody. On behalf of everybody who listens to our pod, we want to appreciate it. Continue to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Go ahead and tell a friend. We'd appreciate it. Until next time, for Ryno, this is Tim saying keep your head up, and we'll see you.